With the Flames in a rebuild transitional phase, we have 3 prospects today that we're going to take a look at that I believe should be on everyone's radar and really, in the back of everyone's mind when it comes to the Flames' future.
You're Locked On Flames, your daily podcast on the Calgary Flames. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to today's episode of Locked On Flames. As always, I am your host, Jessica Belmosto, and thank you so much for joining me. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Right now, new FanDuel customers can get $150 in bonus bets if your first $5 bet wins. Today, I thought that we could take some time to talk about which prospects, which budding stars should be on our radar as we move forward. The Flames hosted development camp, and now, before we know it, we're going to blink and players will be reporting to Calgary for camp. And it's unbelievable that the Flames have not played a game in 3 months, and there's still so many questions ahead of this season. Make sure you're subscribed to Locked On Flames wherever you get your podcasts, as well as YouTube. We are here for you Monday through Friday, 5 days a week, your team every day. And first up, I thought that we would talk about Sam Honzek because he is a player that comes up in just about every single trade proposal. Is that because he is, I guess, it feels silly calling him like the oldest draft pick prospect, but he was drafted 16th overall in the 2023 draft. And he is left wing, has been tried at center, but isn't really necessarily cut out for that. He played in the WHL as a Vancouver Giant. And this past season, he played 5 games with the Flames and had exactly 0 points. That is not a knock on him. I think realistically, he is not, at least from what we saw last season, he needed more time to cook and develop and really take those positive steps in his development to prove that he is capable of standing up or hanging with the NHL players. It's a very different type of game and lifestyle that you have to follow. And it's not just about eating right or, making sure you're getting enough rest and exercise, but there's a lot that goes into it. And a lot of it is, mental stuff too. You got to make sure you're locked in. But he had 8 goals and 13 assists in 52 games with the Wranglers. I think that keeping him with the Wranglers another season would probably be the responsible move. But I could see him kind of being that fringe call up at some point. Some of his standout qualities are his ability to protect the puck and create offense, and some of his weaknesses. The biggest one is probably his skating. And I would have to say his size as well. He is very, 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 I think he weighed 184 pounds and he's 6 foot. He is very tall and very skinny, and he has battled some injuries. And I think that those injuries have kind of put a gap in his development as to where he probably should be. But one of the things that I immediately go to is Matt Coronato. Now, obviously, Matt Coronato drafted a little bit higher the year before and what have you. But I think the biggest thing here is that both of them really needed help skating. Coronato put in a lot of work with the Flames skating coach last offseason, and you could see the tremendous payoff. So I'm hopeful that we see something similar there. I think that with him bulking up, you are seeing less risk of injury, as well as, obviously when you weigh more, you have to, you're skating with more mass, so you have to adjust to that as well. So based on his Instagram posts, him and Martin Pospisil have been working out together just about all summer. So I hope that these off-season gains are enough for him to change the minds of people who have already written him off. It does feel a little unfair to write him off already. I get it. I think that there's an expectation that comes with being a first-round draft pick. And unfortunately, the Flames have had not so many, they just haven't had much luck with some first rounders, and things just haven't started off on the right foot for Honzek. And I think that this next season is pivotal for him. I want to see, obviously, improvement in his skating, and I mean, consistently too. It's not like he has one good game and then he starts to look like Bambi on ice again. But I want to see better skating from him. I think that that's going to also play into the increase in offense as well. Like I said, I think that he could be a fringe guy that they call up at some point with injuries. But I do wonder if the Flames maybe consider packaging him in a trade deadline deal. We know that there are a whole bunch of forwards in the pipeline and on the current NHL roster that they have to clear way for. And Honzek, I don't know if he is a top priority, especially with players like Cole Reschny and Cullen Potter coming in down the pipeline. So Sam Honzek has a steep hill to climb. I'm hopeful that he takes those steps in the right direction. I hope that, a season in the AHL did him some good and built up that confidence. And we see him continue to work on his skating and just really creating that offense. I want to see more of that, especially considering the Flames are kind of desperate for goal scoring. But coming up next, we are going to talk about the Flames' hottest prospect, and that would be Zayne Parekh, and just where does he fit in the Flames' blue line? You just realized your business needed to hire someone yesterday. How can you find amazing candidates fast? Easy. Just use Indeed. When it comes to hiring, Indeed is all you need. Stop struggling to get your job post seen on other sites. Indeed's sponsored posts or sponsored jobs put your post at the top of the page and help you reach the right candidate faster. We've all been in a spot where you need the right hire, the pressure is on, and every day without the right person is a setback. That's exactly when Indeed sponsored jobs come in handy. They make sure your post is seen by the right candidates right now. Now you can speed up your hiring process with a $75 sponsored job credit. And just go to Indeed.com/lockedon right now and support our show by saying you heard about Indeed on this podcast. Terms and conditions apply. Hiring Indeed is all you need. Thanks everyone for hanging out with me today on Locked On Flames. Make sure you are subscribed wherever you get your podcasts. It is now officially off-season mode here for the show, so we're here for you 3 days a week. My goal is to do some in-depth profiles, some deep dives, and maybe looking back at the history of the Flames and maybe the future. Speaking of the future, we have Zayne Parekh on the cusp of being an NHL star. He is going to take the NHL by storm. He has successfully taken over the OHL. He did not win OHL's best defenseman. That went to, I believe, Sam Dickinson, Sharks prospect, but it's fine. Zayne Parekh has had back-to-back 33 goal seasons as a defenseman. His NHL comparables have been Quinn Hughes, Cale Makar, Erik Karlsson, and that should be music to every Calgary Flames fan's ears. You have this top 10 prospect, drafted 9th overall in 2024, right in your back pocket. He scored in his first NHL game. He played the final game of the season last year in LA. So I do think that we see more of him in this upcoming season. But this is the predicament. Due to his age, he is not able to play in the AHL. You still have to be 20 to be AHL eligible. That rule goes away the following season. So that's great. I think it's very promising for future prospects, but it doesn't help the Flames right now. And his options are the NHL or going back to the OHL. I think it would be beneficial for him to get as many NHL reps as possible. And that is the easy answer, right? But it comes back to the open availability. If Rasmus Andersson's gone, I do think that opens a spot for some shuffling and for Parekh to see some top 4 minutes. I really want to see him playing at the NHL level. But if he's up with the team and he's sitting in the press box night after night, I would much rather see him go back to the OHL and continue to play those top pairing minutes and tear it up. He is an NHL defenseman, hands down. But given the Flames' current logjam situation, impending Rasmus Andersson trade, it kind of puts a pause on when he slots in. Because ultimately, you have a defenseman that's on his way out. And you have one that's fighting to make his way in. I think that it is very likely we see Parekh make the team out of camp. I know last season he was super disappointed that he didn't, but this season, especially after his most recent season in the OHL with the Saginaw Spirit, I truly think that an even bigger fire was lit underneath him. And now it's time for the Flames to do the hard work and figure out where he's going to go. Because you are doing this kid a disservice if you do not let him play those big NHL minutes. It might feel like you're throwing him to the wolves, no pun intended, but he's ready. I think that it's a tall task, but this isn't anything that you should be overly concerned about. He is an NHL caliber defenseman. Let him and allow him to get his stride. And then, if you're seeing consistency and you are seeing that great playmaker along with the great defense, why wouldn't you want him up with your NHL club? He has, I think one of my favorite things about Parekh is just number one, obviously his talent, but his shot. It is so clean, crisp, precise. It is like the bluest of blue skies. It is refreshing. It is a cold drink of water on a 90-degree day. It is great. And it's nice to see the Flames have such a well-rounded player that they drafted and that they are developing. Because it's nice to see that you are capable of trading for those players, of course. But if you have them in your system, it's even sweeter. And you are working on refining those skills and building this player to be, a Norris Trophy candidate someday. And I truly believe that with the mentorship of Uyghur and even Kevin Ball, this kid is going to go far. And he is easily the Flames' top prospect. He is a tier 1 prospect. It appears that Cole Reschny is also kind of floating in that cusp of top prospects. But we'll do a prospect ranking at some point this offseason as well. But to me, Parekh absolutely deserves a shot at the NHL. A consistent shot. And it's such a shame that there is no way for him to play in the AHL this year. That is where my concern kind of comes in. Do you send him back to the OHL or do you keep him up with the team? Because personally, I want to see him out there night after night after night. To me, that makes the most sense. I don't know if you ease him in. I think that he's capable of swinging for the fences. And I would like to see that. Coming up next, we are going to wrap up the show with one of the Flames' recent first-round draft picks and why you should keep an eye on him here on Locked On Flames. Summer sports are in full swing, and whether you are all about baseball, under the lights, golf on the green, or high-stakes soccer action, FanDuel is the best way to make every game more exciting. You're already following the action. Why not make it a little more thrilling? With FanDuel, you can get in on the game while your friends are getting sunburnt at the beach. I've been using FanDuel for a while now, and I think it's just so easy to use, and I love the ability to create a same game parlay and just have fun. It truly makes watching a game more exciting, whether it's a game that is a boring Tuesday night game, or if you're rooting for the over for the underdog. FanDuel has you covered. New to FanDuel, new customers can bet just $5 and get $150 in bonus bets if your first bet wins. Open the FanDuel app today or visit FanDuel.com to get started. Thank you, everyone, for tuning into today's episode of Locked On Flames. I appreciate you making the show part of your day. I know that there's a lot of different podcasts out there that you could be listening to, so it does absolutely mean a lot that you're choosing to make the show part of your day, and I greatly appreciate you. Something else we should appreciate is the fact that Cole Reschny was still available at 18th overall this past draft. He is a smaller center and a position that the Flames have desperately needed to not only improve on, but replenish those prospects. Some of the scouting reports said that he is was one of the best playmakers of this draft. That's huge. the Flames have desperately needed to draft a center, and a true center, not someone that has bounced between, center and left wing, and they've only played left wing for the past 3 seasons. They haven't touched being a center at like a higher level. And that Cole Reschny is your guy. And I know that the Flames love a good undersized forward, as we have seen. And I am truly so excited for Cole Reschny. I think that he is going to be very dominant in the college hockey world. And he won't be signing an entry-level contract this year because he's going to be playing hockey at the University of North Dakota. And signing the ELC would make him ineligible for the NCAA, which I get. And I think that's fine. I love NCAA players that take players that take that route, because it's different. And I think we're going to be seeing more of that, especially with this new rule change with the CHL. And I think it allows higher caliber players into the hockey or into the college hockey world. And ultimately, if you're playing at a high level, don't you want to be playing against high level competition? To me, that makes the most sense. I would love that, because if you're going up against little Billy from a D3 school, okay, that's no fun. I want to go up against, I'm trying to think who's, the Johnny Gaudreaus, the Gavin McKenna's, the, I guess, Jack Eichel, Charlie McAvoy, every player that's ever played college hockey just escaped my brain. But you get the point. You want to play in that. And you're also benefiting from it too, because now they have NIL, name, image, likeness compensations deals. You're also getting an education, which could be very helpful at some point down the road. And you're still refining your skills. And most of these college hockey coaches have some professional experience in some way, shape, or form. I think that one of the most important parts of any player is obviously being well-rounded. And obviously being a good person off the ice. Like that goes without saying. But what are you bringing to the table as a player? What is going to set you apart from being a third-line center to a second-line center? What sets you apart from the guy that, this job you're trying to take? Well, Reschny, that's not happening this year. But down the road, he leads to his place. He's able to get creative and find ways to generate offense based on those plays. He's crafty. He's not super flashy, but he is quick thinking, quick on his feet, and thinks outside of the box. And I think the Flames need more of that. I don't think, I know. And I'm hoping that over the next few years, the Flames are able to draft players that aren't allergic to shooting the puck. If we could just clone Matt Coronado, I think that would be a great way to solve the Flames' top 6. Or just the lack of offense. We have seen Reschny draw comparisons to Matty Beniers or Ryan Nugent-Hopkins. So there's hope there. I don't think that you need to write him off just because he's, going the college route. I think that it's exciting. I think that all of these players regardless if they were drafted this past season or, back in 2023, like Sam Honzek. Everyone is taking steps to their ultimate goal. And at the end of the day, we know it's a competition. You're here to take a job. And as the Flames continue to trade or graduate players from the AHL, we will see these 3 players jump in some sort of way and progress forward. And we'll be talking about a whole new batch of forwards or players, prospects to keep an eye out for. Honzek has work to do. Parekh has work to do. And so does Reschny. The difference being Honzek is probably the guy that's, if you have to trade him, I think, like, if you have to trade one of these players, I think you're moving him first. And I don't think we need to write anyone off. I don't think we need to sign anyone to a most expensive contract known to mankind yet. But I think ultimately keeping these players on your radar and checking back in, seeing how they're doing, where things stand. Maybe you go back and watch some Wranglers games from last season to check in to see how Honzek's doing. I mean, no offense, but any Saginaw Spirit game, Zayne Parekh, it's just a highlight reel. He is unbelievable. And I think Cole Reschny will be a lot of fun to watch at the University of North Dakota. And I'm excited for the growth of college hockey. I think it's huge. And that'll do it for me here on today's episode of Locked On Flames. Thank you all so much. I'm looking forward to tracking these players' developments with you all here on Locked On Flames. Make sure you're following the show wherever you get your podcasts, as well as YouTube. We're back to 3 episodes a week here through the remainder of the off season. And I'm looking forward to chatting with you all, and I will see you later.